So let's kick it off. Thank you for being here. As always, I'm Erik, the platform manager at Edison Benelux. Belux, sorry, not Benelux, Belux. Today, this session, we're going to talk about the partner of record enforcement by Microsoft, which is a rather important topic because it might or it will influence your purchase capabilities at Microsoft. If you have questions, remarks, doubts, do not hesitate to unmute yourself or to use the chat window. You can speak to me in basically any language as long as it's or Dutch or French or English and a bit of German. So don't hesitate. Put your questions verbally or use the chat window if you feel uncomfortable to speak. Okay. I see some people are still joining. With me in the call is from the team is Lawrence, our new BDM, and who is also learning all those nice Microsoft stuff. So, partner of records in former Microsoft, episode 4. We have 3 sessions before this, and there will be a next over tomorrow, day after tomorrow. So on May 28 will be a next session. The last one we'll do, unless we see there is a need to organize this later on. Basically, we want to talk about 5 rules. 1 and 2, obviously, the most important ones. 3, 4, 5 are also important, but maybe less urgent or maybe less eminent. Okay, let's first see rule 1. It is, this is a full lecture for March 25. So what does Microsoft say? As an indirect reseller, to proceed with a purchase, you must have an active CSP tenant, which you have. With an authorized PLA ID, and I'll come back to those wordings later. Have accepted a Microsoft partner agreement, be located in the same region as your indirect provider, meaning that you need to be in the same region as your distributor, meaning in Europe. So you cannot associate yourself with a distributor in Africa or in Far East or in the US. It's not possible. You need to be in the same region that Microsoft has defined as being a region. For instance, Switzerland is part of Europe in this case. And you need to share your PLA ID with your indirect provider, and I'll come back to that later as well. Failing to comply with these results, you might or you will not be able to buy new subscriptions. This will be taking place in September. It was first set in June. We got 3 months extra to arrange all of this for you. So by September, all these rules need to be applied, in order to be able to purchase new licenses. Currently, there is no discussion on renewals and on seat changes, but there is purchases that will be stopped if you do not comply to the rules. If you don't comply, Microsoft at a certain moment will disable your tenant, your CSP tenant, meaning you cannot be able to manage your customers anymore using the Microsoft prescribed way of managing your customers. But that I will come back to that later. Now, what's on the screen is, first of all, indirect reseller in this or at Microsoft, that's you. So Microsoft in the documentation, they always speak about the indirect reseller. They don't speak about a partner or a reseller. It's always indirect reseller. Why indirect? Because you don't buy directly from Microsoft. You buy via a distributor or a competition. So that's why you're an indirect reseller. Meaning that you also need to have someone who is the direct, and that is the indirect provider, because we provide licenses to you coming from Microsoft. So that's why we are called in the documentation indirect provider. So it's in the wording, but that might be interesting. What else? The MPA, the Microsoft Partner Agreement. You must have that signed. Most of you will have that signed already, so no sweat, but do check it. So go to the Microsoft Partner Center, log in with your global admin credentials, go to the settings, that's on the right top, it's the gear on the right top corner. Go to Account Settings, Legal Information, select the Partner tab. In the Program Info section, look for the Microsoft Partner Agreement. If it's signed, it will be set active. If it's not signed, then you'll be able to sign it there right on the spot. It needs to be in place. If you don't have the PLA signed, you will not be able to purchase anymore. Because Microsoft says, look, you don't agree with our T's and C's, so why should you be able to sell stuff? Okay. It's in the slide, so you don't need to write it down. Yeah, question, remark from someone? Let's mute. Okay. What is the PLA ID? Is the partner local account identificator? Moeilijk word. Difficult word. So it's your partner local MPN ID. Now I will come back to that on the next slide. And so you need to be able to send us that information. And you need to also accept the reseller agreement, which is sent by us. Most of you, or a lot of you, have received that email to accept the reseller agreement between you as a reseller and us, TD SYNNEX, as your indirect provider. Okay. So what is your partner location MPN? First of all, you will have at least 2 MPN IDs. You should have at least 2. One global, one which is kind of an umbrella identifier. So basically meaning that all we do is under that one umbrella and will also be used by Microsoft as your umbrella account, meaning that, for instance, incentives, co-funding, if you are entitled to that, will be recalculated based on the umbrella MPN, so on the partner global. Under the global, you will have at least 1 or multiple partner location IDs. And you can assign or not that partner location as your CSP purchase location to work with. So that's important. You need to manage, you need to say that this is a CSP purchase tenant that you're using, because every ID is also linked to a tenant that you're going to use for CSP. How can you find it? So go to the settings module in pack, partnermicrosoft.com. On the gear icon on top right, go to account settings. If you go then to organization profile identifiers, in the Microsoft IE Cloud Partner Program, you will have 1 partner global and 1 or more partner locations. Yeah, blurred it because it's internal information. And if you take the CSP tab, that is for the tenant you are on, the CSP ID. You can be a CSP of multiple tenants. For instance, be it TD SYNNEX, we have for Belgium 2. You see here the numbers. We have also the same on the same umbrella as Holland. So they also have 2. So you can have multiple CSP tenants, but a tenant doesn't need to be a CSP tenant. You can also work without a CSP tenant if you don't want to. For instance, or Microsoft or tdsynnex.com is not a CSP tenant at all. So this is basically, that's the information, and that's the local PLA that you will need to send to TD SYNNEX to say, okay, I'm using that one to buy my licenses for my customer. Okay. You can send it, or you can go into ST1 Ion, go to partners. You see TD SYNNEX Belgium there as only one as a provider. You click it, you go to the programs section, search for the Microsoft CSP. You have the partner ID. If it's correct, nothing to do, then you can jump out of this interface. If it's not correct, you click on request, you fill in the correct MPN ID, and you say save. And at that moment, in our backend, people will start working on your request to change your MPN ID to the correct one. If it is not done immediately, we need to wait until the billing cycle of Microsoft is closed. So basically, meaning that we're around the 14th, 15th of the month before we can make this change, but doesn't really matter because for its invoicing reasons why. And as you know, invoice already sent once a month. So if it's not this month, if you change it on the 2nd of the month or the 25th of the month, it will be the same result on your invoicing. Question. So is it, I see someone put, okay. If you don't have the CSP, meaning you need to apply for the CSP first. So that's important. There is a procedure, and I can send you that later on. It's not the partner global that we need. Let me go back here. So partner global we don't need. We need the CSP, the ID, which is under the CSP tab. That's the one we need. Partner global is not used to do any transactions. It's just basically an umbrella to be able to have partner locations where you can do the purchases. Thank you for your question. Okay. Questions, remarks. If you don't agree, you doubt, or unmute or use the chat window if you would like to, as Tolle did before. Okay. Rule number 2. Your tenant. Normally, Microsoft created this tenant way of working to manage your customers starting from your partner center, so starting from PAC. I know that a lot of you will have accounts at every tenant of your customer. You have an admin account with global admin rights. Fine, it works. It works for you, fine for me. Doesn't really matter at that level. But the way Microsoft has intended to work is to go to Partner Center, have a link with your customers in there, and manage your customer using GTAP rights from your tenant to the customer tenant. Basically, the way we work at TD SYNNEX. That's why if you are taking over a customer, you need to do this partner link. So we can basically start managing your customer using the partner, Partner Center environment. Obviously, why enforce security? Microsoft has enforced MFA on your CSP tenant. You cannot circumvent that. You need to have MFA on your CSP tenant. If someone leaves the company, well, you disable the account automatically. That user cannot access your customers anymore. If you have the system where we have an account at every customer, you most probably have somewhere an Excel sheet or a vault where then someone can take all the information out and use it even when they left the company. Question from Stefan. Will I send the presentation of the session? Yes, it will be sent by marketing, but it will be sent today or tomorrow. You will get all the slides on this session. Thank you, Stefan, for the question. So basically in red, that's how a lot of your colleagues work. You have an admin user at the customer tenants. It's a security risk. As said, if someone leaves the company, they might have that information stored somewhere and they can still access your customers. And it's not the way Microsoft wants you to work. But again, if it works for you, fine for me. Yeah, as long as you can manage your customers the way you want to do it, it's fine. Not because Microsoft intended to do it, that you need to do it that way. Okay. So basically, we see that if you do manage your customers using the PAC Center, you have us on the left side, you have your customers on the right side. In the middle, that is you. So you have your PAC tenant and you have your Office production all in one tenant. As you see on the left side, at TD SYNNEX, we have our tdsynnex.com environment, which is an Office tenant or production tenant, which is completely uncoupled from every CSP tenant we have. That's why we have 2 accounts at TD SYNNEX. We have one for Office environment and one for our management of the CSP customers. So we need to log on. Depending on what we want to do, we log on one or the 2. Between you and us, there is a reseller link. And as you are a customer, especially if you buy for yourself, there's also a customer link. Yes, and then you should have customer links with your customers, and you manage your customers. You manage your customers from that point. This is not Microsoft. Microsoft wanted it and advises strongly against, and there is more, but I come back to that later. Here it is, and I'll give you 2 minutes to read what is on the screen. Time to drink. Basically, what it says is you cannot have your production tenant and your CSP tenant, or you cannot have one tenant to do both CSP and your office production environment. That's basically what the blue box is saying. I know this is shocking. To be honest, we were also informed by Microsoft a couple of weeks ago about this requirement, and the earliest information we find is somewhere from October, so it also was shocking for us. So if you want to buy for yourself, if you want to have your own licenses, you want to buy them, you cannot buy them from another CSP vendor or partner if you have used the same tenant for your customer's environment and for your office production. So you cannot buy them from us, you cannot buy them from one of your colleagues. The only thing you can do is buy directly from Microsoft with a credit card, or use your partner benefits, like if you have a designation, you can use those ones. But then if you want to buy extra, you cannot do that again. So that's another discussion, but you cannot have this set up basically for Microsoft. That's what the blue box is telling us. So what you should do is have a second tenant. The way we work basically at Edisynix, you have your PAC tenant managing your customers, and you have your production tenant where you can put your own licenses in for usage. I know this will be a big work for a lot of you to start implementing this way of working. You have time until after summertime that this will be implied by Microsoft, but you will need to do that. So have 2 tenants, one PAC tenant and one office production tenant. Even if you don't manage your customers using the way Microsoft is on this project, so if you have accounts, you will need to have a second tenant. Even if it's empty, even if you go in once a month to say, hey, we're still alive, you will need to have that CSP tenant available to be complying with Microsoft rules. It's a hard one, it's a difficult one, but that's something you need to take care of. So what can you do? Scenario 1, you create a new tenant and you move your office environment to the new tenant. So your users, mailbox, SharePoint, Teams, custom domains, licenses, which you cannot be moved. So you need to purchase and then have a ticket to Microsoft to be able to stop the old tenant, and so on, so on, so on. So basically that's scenario 1. We prefer scenario 2, which is mostly the less impactful for you as well, is create a new tenant and move your customers to that new tenant. Scenario 1, yes, there are tools like AvePoint, like BitTitan that allows you to migrate all information in a small weekend. It's done. I cannot guarantee on the Monday morning that everyone will be able to work fluently after the move has been done. I cannot guarantee that. It depends on a lot of parameters, so you should be aware of that issue. And also the licensing, again, you cannot move the licenses, you will need to purchase new licenses, and then we ask Microsoft to, hey, can you please stop them because we create a new tenant and it's the same customer and it's the same licenses. So that's why we prefer scenario 2. You will need to establish a new customer relationship with the customer, and you will need to establish a new GDAP relationship with your customers as well. But we estimate that it's less work on that level than on the scenario 1 level. And also only customer support employees need to log on at each tenant. So if you're the CSP tenant, like for us, only the people in the Microsoft Cloud team have access to our CSP tenant. Our colleagues of AWS and Google, they don't need to go into the Microsoft environment. They don't have access. Even though they can on TD SYNNEX do whatever they want to do, they cannot enter our CSP tenants to work and to manage customers and to do stuff. So there's an extra layer of security if you want. Question. So do you need two domains, one for PAC tenants and one for the production tenant? Yes, you have two domains, two .onmicrosoft.com domains, because anyway, if you create a tenant, you will have a .onmicrosoft.com. At TD SYNNEX, we didn't put any custom domains on the CSP tenants. We just use .onmicrosoft. For us, it's TD Belgium. .onmicrosoft.com that we use to log on. There is no need for a real custom domain like something at .be or .com. We just log on with the .onmicrosoft.com tenant. You will need MFA and stuff. So our MFA application is rather full already with all that tenants we need. Okay. We might use a temporary solution, but we actually advise against it, is because we have multiple tenants in Belgium, PAC tenants. We could say we move your office tenant to the other tenant of us, and then you have your two tenants. Can work. Disadvantage is that you cannot see or manage your own license anymore. That's a drawback in the scenario. That's why we advise against it. But if there is no other way for a temporary short term, we might do that to help you out of any difficult situation if that would be needed. But again, it would be a temporary solution, and we advised against the setup because not able to do life cycle of your own management. You need to do transfers between the sites and stuff like that. If there is Azure, that might need downtime, even if there is an Azure solution with marketplace items. So not the easiest thing to do because we need to transfer between our two tenants. Okay. Questions, remarks? Again, you can unmute. You can use the chat window. Okay. Number 3. Tier 1. So as said, you cannot buy from another reseller if your office environment is on the tenant. If you CSP, you need to have another tenant. There is more. You're not allowed to buy for yourself as a reseller. So meaning on the purchase that you do for your own tenant, your own office production tenant, your MPN ID might not be involved in that purchase. It needs to be basically or another partner or without tier 2 and without indirect reseller MPN ID, meaning directly from TD SYNNEX. So that is possible. We call it tier 1 purchase. So we can, on your own tenants, say, look, this is not purchase. You cannot purchase to sell. You can purchase for your own, and we will not change prices. Currently, that might change ever, but currently your purchase price remains the same, even if it's for your own internal usage. We don't going to charge you more. What does Microsoft call an own tenant is if you have like a daughter company. If you own 51% or more of that company, it's considered being your own, so you cannot buy to sell to that entity. So you will need to buy it or from a tier 1 or via another reseller in this case. If you have your own tenants, just let us know which one it is, and we take care to take it out of the tier 2 program, and we put you in a tier 1. Basically, you're compliant already on that level. How can you see it that you're a tier 1 customer? You go into the cloud providers, you choose Legacy, Azure, or Microsoft CSP. It doesn't really matter. You go in, you click on the euro sign in either of those, and then you see If it's off, then on your tier 1 customer, so your MPN will not be on the purchase. If it's off, then you're a tier 2 customer, and basically if it's for yourself, it's not allowed. So then we need to put it off. So just let us know which is your your own tenant or tenants, and we will do that action for you. No need to put it yourself off or on, because we also need to go see what's active live and change the MPN on that subscription as well. Okay, questions, remarks? We're already at number 4. The Microsoft Cloud Agreement. This is less urgent. The timeline here is October, but it also needs to be taken care of. And we saw that there's a lot of work to do on your customers. So Microsoft Cloud Agreement. This is an agreement between the customer and Microsoft, where you and us are only brokers to have those things set up. So the Microsoft Cloud Agreement is an agreement between the customer saying, okay, I want to buy Microsoft licenses and I will apply or comply to the rules Microsoft is having. For instance, I know that if I buy a yearly term, I will need to pay for a year. Basically, that's what it says. That's what in the T's and C's, that's why the MCA needs to be signed. If it's, however, signed before the 1st of April 2023, you need to sign it again. Why Microsoft in the meantime changed their T's and C's, and they will do it regularly. So this will be re-signed once so often. So if it's signed today before April the 1st, 2023, you need to re-sign the MCA before October. You or your customer can do that. You will not be able to purchase or to renew if it's not accepted by then. Doesn't take much time. So if on the 15th of October you try to do a purchase, you get an error back stating MCA is not signed, you rapidly sign the MCA, you replace the order and it will go by. But you need to sign the MCA to be able to renew and purchase. Purchase you will see in the orders section in Ion. Renews you will not see that. So it might be that your customer at a certain moment just falls without licenses because the MCA is not signed. Because Microsoft, you don't sign the rules, so you cannot use our license anymore. It needs to be signed by the customer or by you as proxy. If you sign it, it needs to be the customer's ID. Yeah? If you sign it, basically saying, I had discussion with person X at my customer, and person X agrees to the Microsoft T's and C's. So this is the person I talked with at the customer. So he or she agrees, and that name should be on the MCA. Okay, Tolle, I come back to where can it be found. I will show you that in a minute. So can we done cloud provider? As I said, I will show you in a minute. We are building a list with old MCAs. We have a first draft, and we have roughly about 20,000 MCAs that needs to be resigned. Why? Because customers are rather stable. They don't do a lot of changes. So they have renewals, no new purchases, and then the MCA is not signed over time. But again, it will need to be signed by October. So info to the customer, name, email, and also put company emails. No one is working at Hotmail or at Gmail or whatever. It needs to be a company email that's filled out in the data. Okay. Check yourself and rearm if needed. Again, while you do it, open the customer, go to the cloud providers, again, Legacy or Microsoft TSP. Yes, it is the same slide as or the same animation as before, except here, if you see that the sign-on date is before the 1st of April 2023, if it's after, then you're fine. No sweat. You just need to wait till Microsoft again changes the T's and C, and then we need to rearm again the MCA. If it's not after April the 1st, 2023, then you go to update attestation. You fill in the first name, the last name, the contact number, phone number is not needed, but it can be do it anyway. Per default, Microsoft does not send any mails to that email address. No, but again, needs to be someone of the company of your customer that is listed here on this page, and you click update, and then the MCA is rearmed. You don't see it immediately how this has happened, how this works. So we send information to Microsoft. They will adapt it on the tenant level, and in the next sync, which is roughly around every 6 hours, you get the information back in Streamline. So don't panic if you say I updated it and it's not feasible. Give it some while, because Microsoft needs to give us back the information that the MCA is validated or not. Because we sometimes get invalid signage of MCAs because, for instance, the date is put in the future. The address used, the email address is not correct, then we get errors back from Microsoft. They need to validate it before they accept the MCA update. Okay, so Tolo, is that where you can find it? Is that okay? Okay, thank you. Last point, small one, 2 slides, I think. Details, your details. So if you have your tenant or your customer's tenant, you have a lot of places where you can put information, the tenant information, the billing information, and so on and so on and so on. Make sure that all fields that need to be filled out are filled out. We often see that, for instance, in the billing information, there is no email address, resulting in Microsoft does not accept a purchase, even if it goes via Streamline. So at that moment, you get an error in Streamline stating, oh, there is something wrong in the profile. It doesn't say, Microsoft does not give us which field is wrong. So we need to go in and find out at the tenant of the customer what is wrong, what is not filled out, what is wrongly filled out. For instance, a zip code in Belgium, Luxembourg is 4 numbers. It's not something like LU- or BE number or number BE. It's just 4 digits. Make sure that you fill out the zip number as it should be. And email addresses, no consumer emails, Hotmail, Live, Google, whatever you have. In Belgium, for instance, Telenet or Proximus will not be correct, not correct email addresses. It needs to be company email, yeah, of the customer, if it's the customer tenant, of you, if it's your own tenant. So it doesn't seem to be important, but again, if in the billing information, some information is missing, like an address, like an email, like a zipper is wrong, you will not be able to purchase for that customer until that is rectified. Okay, questions, remarks? We still have half an hour, so go ahead. Again, you can unmute yourself. You can speak to me in German, a bit, French, English, or Dutch. Oh, this is a lot. Yes, let it sink in. Yeah. We know that some of our competitions say that 2 tenants are not required, but you saw the blue box that is coming from Microsoft. Communication is not coming from TDC Next. It's not us who built that text. So it is Microsoft stating that message. Yeah. So beware if competition says, oh, it's not needed. For me, you don't need to do that, but you might run into problems as of September timeframe. Okay, let it sink in. If you have questions, remarks later on, don't hesitate. hyperscale.tdclinux.com, microsoft.b@tdclinux.com. Just drop us an email. Find us any way you want. You can call us. You can Teams with us if you would like to. Or if you want to have a second run on this session, there is one after tomorrow. Same information if you have your colleagues needing to follow this as well. 28 is the 5th and last session we do in this series of this presentation. Again, let it sink in, think about it, and wait for communications from us. You will get that communication on how exactly you need to create a second tenant, what steps are involved to make the CSP and to put it under the same umbrella. You will get that information from us. We're still validating the process to be 100% waterproof before we send it out to you. For now, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for the interaction. Oh, question in the chat. Where can I find the billing information? That's on the tenant of the customer. So on the tenant of the customer in the tenant settings, there you should be able to find the billing information or a billing profile, and the billing profile is the billing information of the customer. No, that's not in Stream1i. That's really at the tenant of the customer, yes. So the billing information from Microsoft is at a Microsoft environment, so it's at the tenant of the customer. Okay. Okay, someone is typing. Yes, yes, Stefan, that's correct. So some of you have received an email to accept the reseller relationship, which gives you an error. We're working on that. We're working to see with Microsoft what's the best solution for that. Most probably, solution will be in having a second tenant. But for now, you tried it. Leave it as it is. It will still work. We still have time till September. But we will find you a solution. Again, we're working with Microsoft to solve that as soon as possible and to give you a procedure on how to continue to have this rectified. Okay. Again, don't hesitate. Questions, remarks, hyperscaler.be@edison.com or microsoft.be@edison.com. Just drop us an email and we will find you an answer as soon as possible. You will get the slides of this presentation today or tomorrow as is, so the slides as you saw them. If more information is required, again, contact us, knows that we will give you an answer. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for the interaction. I would say have a nice short working week for a lot of you. I'm working on Friday, but for now, bye and talk to you later.